Hello, my name is Troy Candioti. I am a third-year political science major at Gettysburg College in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I am here in India doing an independent study project on divorce trends, laws, and consequences in India, and that's why I'm with these two gentlemen.
Yes. Now we are here with Troy today, and we are going to discuss today what are the ill effects of divorce. Because in West, divorce is a way of life, and people think that yes, it's a part and parcel. If both the parties they don't agree to their views, they can separate, right?
Yes.
That's how it has been in the West overall. How wrong or right that sort of a nature is what we are here to discuss today. Now
Okay.
we are all part of Living Unitedly International, as you can see, and this is one of its kind international trust, which is for the basic awareness of what are the ill effects of divorces on our current generation and our coming generations. Now first we'll discuss about few things that you have noted down. One of it is today in the modern society, do we know any apartment or a building which doesn't have a couple fighting with each other? Now what are your views on that?
I mean, I can't answer that.
Let's say, suppose you are in the US, you are in New York, right? And there's an apartment where, say, about 50 people are staying together. How many of them are staying in a joint family?
Well, in the U.S., the joint family system doesn't really exist. It never really has. Family is important, but you don't necessarily live with the entire family. Like, I know families try and live in the same city and spend some time together, but really it's mainly just the nuclear family that lives together. The
Right.
husband, wife, the children, and
That's the basic.
that's really it.
That's
Yeah.
the basic. The reason is, in the West, it always has been the case that people want their children to be enterprising.
You mean independent?
Basic, independent, enterprising, to do their own thing, basically. In India, we for generations have been having a caste system. Are you aware of it? Caste system?
Kind of.
Castes.
A little bit.
Different
It's
castes.
like social separation.
It's a strata of how people have been living on for generation. Like if you are a son of a carpenter, for example,
You're supposed to be a
carpenter, you will definitely follow what your father did
Mhm.
for a coming period of your life, for your future livelihood. If you are, say, a blacksmith or a cobbler or a goldsmith, you are definitely going to follow the
Right.
tradition. There was a reason for it, because India has always been ruled by kings
Until recently.
until very recently. See, India as a country, as a democracy, as a republic country, is very, very new.
Mhm.
In that terms, America is a little old,
Yeah.
much older.
Democratic country.
Do you know when was the Declaration of Independence written down for America?
It was finalized in 1776.
1776, right? Long, long time back. Since then, America is a democracy.
Yes.
It's a democratic country. India is the largest democracy in the world.
Yep.
The reason is its population.
Yes.
Basically, we have got more population than America.
Mhm.
We are rivals of China
Yes.
in population. Now, the only reason why democracy works is because the people of that country have faith in the governance of a few people. Am I right?
So you mean the governance of everyone by a few, and people
A,
support that system.
a democratic republic is run by a government
Mhm.
which is of the people, by the people.
Yeah.
Right?
By due process of franchise, they elect the person and the person.
By election.
People
American,
choose a small
American
amount of
president is elected by election, not by selection. Not by selection, not by selection by few.
As in monarchy, the kings decide who is the next ruler.
Well, it's like one ruler for everyone.
So there is no hierarchy of who rules you. A common man can tomorrow rule you. In a democracy, a common man, you can become a president.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in
No one
democracy,
knows.
all the leaders are technically common.
Right? See, the basic premise of all governance is for the betterment of people. Am I right?
Yeah, agreed.
No government can work against the betterment of people. That's the basic
No
premise.
democratic government
Can work against the betterment of people.
Yeah, if that happens, then the people are supposed to rise up and replace it.
Yes, by way of election. By way of
Or
election.
otherwise, if that doesn't work. But normally, yes, by election.
Elections. Yeah.
Right. So, the point that I was drawing to is, by way of a democratic process, now India has so many languages and states bound together. Like in America, you've got so many states. They are United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, in India, we are United States
Like 38 states, right?
right now, and they are all governed by central government. Right? We are all governed by a set of laws, rules.
Mm-hmm.
You agree with it, right?
Yeah.
America also has a set of rules. America must be having a divorce law set.
Yeah. Every state has their own divorce codes.
I never knew that. Do those laws differ from state to state in their policies?
Yeah.
What kind of main difference does it have? Can I just know from you? You're a
Coming to
student.
mind immediately is like the waiting periods.
Okay.
I've lived in California and I've lived in North Carolina. I know what is it? In California, I believe the waiting system is 6 months before you can file for divorce. You have to be separated for 6 months before you can officially file. While in North Carolina, it's 1 year and a month.
Okay. Where is it the fastest?
It's probably California.
California is the fastest. You
Just
marry and you
because
take divorce.
it's like the most liberal state. I don't really know where it's the fastest, but California is probably up there.
Alright. Are you aware who made these divorce laws in America? Who drafted them?
I'm not
From the
sorry.
Declaration of Independence, from that period till date, who is handling these divorce laws? Nobody is aware of.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody
I
is
don't think
generally aware
anybody
of.
knows.
The reason is, Troy, nobody wants to give much of importance to that effect. Nobody wants to think on those lines. Who is making the divorce laws?
Who's taking
What are the
particular
effects?
decision? Like, we have elected the government, we elected the parliamentarians, and when they are bringing a law, it goes through a due process of debate. Of course, there is a democratic way of enacting a law. But when that law is made, always, the purpose of the law is to benefit the citizens or the common man.
Ought to have been. That has to be the purpose.
Punish the guilty and save the innocent.
Yes,
That
in
is
theory,
the
yeah.
spirit of law is always like that. Now that innocent person, when there is a divorce battle between a man and a woman, this is the only, I would say, a situation where a man and a woman are face to face fighting. As otherwise in any sport you won't find, there is a boxing between a man and a woman, or you won't find
It will be biased.
a fencing
It will be biased. All over
event.
the world, all events, you just see, man and a woman can't participate equally.
You mean you're talking about like separate gender sports?
Gender
and-
sports, yeah. So what happens when the dispute between a man and a woman comes under the purview of a law? The law has been absolutely created. Suppose you were to go for a boxing championship, you are going to fight against a woman. It won't be that naturally balanced, because everyone will think the man is going to win, the woman is going to lose. By nature has created both the sexes in a manner. So what happened? These laws were made women-centric. The laws which were also created between the divorce laws.
Are you talking about particularly the
I
United
am talking
States?
about the bias.
No, it's not only United States.
All over
If
the
you
world.
will find, you will do carry on your research, you will find it's not only in United States, even in India. There are laws that have come into practice where women are being given enough protection, that is good, to cover their problems. But what happens when these laws are being misused?
By the women?
By the women.
Their relatives.
Suppose, see, marriage is a sacrament as per Hindu culture. marriage is just not a contract. Of course, Islam says it's a contract, and many other religions also says it's a contract. But why do you marry a woman? Is maybe one of the reasons is that you want to start a family, you want to have kids.
I feel like the primary reason would be because
Procreation.
you want to spend the rest of your life with them.
Absolutely. And this is a relationship. We always say it's a relationship, and the relationship is based on trust. You have to have that faith in each other. Only then you won't just go and marry because one fine day you decide that you want to marry, and you will pick a girl and you will marry. You will have to go through the understanding between both the
You have to get to know
individuals.
them first. You have to make sure it's right.
Traditionally in India, marriages were arranged. Marriages were arranged by the elders. They used to take the decisions, and people, all the both the sexes, man and woman, they used to accept each other. That this my mother has decided or father has decided this is the girl for me, and I have to live with this girl for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
The girl has to think the other way around. It has to be reciprocal. We as a generation in India, in the modern generation, I personally never saw my parents fighting. There was never being a dispute between them. It's the same with him. It's the same with most of us. We are in our now 30s, and we see that most of our generation, when we talk to each other, that they had a very stable parenthood. Like the parents were pretty much in love with each other, and they were not disputing. But in our generation, we are experiencing this, that now there are every third or fourth marriage is landing up in courts.
You're talking about your generation.
Our generation. Our generation.
The current generation.
Current
Right.
generation who are, maybe you can say in the last 15 years.
Okay, well, before we move on, because like I'm thinking, there's your generation and then there's my generation.
Yeah. Okay.
And I,
Yeah, I understand.
I feel like there should be
There
some
is-
clarity.
Your generation, you are now in your 20s.
Ajit.
We are in 30s. We are
We are talking about the people who are married or
Married.
marriageable age.
Okay, which is not me.
not you.
Not necessarily. See, it depends
But-
on culture to culture.
Yeah.
1 minute. Let
In
me
America.
decide on that. It depends on culture to culture. In many parts of Russia, especially people marry at a very young age. Do you know that? In Afghanistan, in Russia, even in parts of India.
Parts of India and parts of even Asia,
The
Say.
rural areas in India, people get their children married very early. So by your age, there are 2 or 3 children.
Okay.
So that
You
is
might
how the
consider.
population is
See,
exploding.
in West, there is no fixed age for marriage. Am I right? Because people don't marry until they are very, very sure.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the idea.
Marrying in India is rather an obligation.
Right. Like I feel like in the States, it's delayed because you're supposed to like, this might sound crude. You're supposed to like shop around. You're supposed to see multiple partners and compare them to each other so that you know which one you'll be most happy with.
Right. And the basic premise is, see, of any marriage, as we discussed, what are the needs for marriages? What is the need for marrying in the first place? Let us go
Yes.
one by one.
Reproduction.
Procreation,
Exactly.
for having your own generation. That is the basic need of even animals. Why man is not an animal? People call man as a social animal.
Okay.
We have been taught by many political thinkers and social thinkers that man is a social animal. But they call man as an animal. Why I call man not an animal? We are not animals. How animals are different from us human beings. And science is now picking up with this theory, where our Hindu religion, our Hindu culture has taught us ages back that we are not animals.
Okay.
It is written in our Vedic Purans that we are not animals. We are human beings. Manushya. Manushya means
Human being.
humans. Now, have you ever observed the similarities in Hindu words or Indian words and English words? Have you ever just envisaged this? See the possibilities. We are not going into a deviant direction, but this is very important to understand what I will be telling you afterwards. 1 ek.
Yeah.
See the numbers. 2 do.
Just like Spanish.
Right? 3 3. 3, 3.
Yeah, those two are similar.
Right? 4, 4.
Right.
5,
I'm not sure where we're going
5.
with this.
I'll explain to you.
Okay.
6, 6. We are poles apart. Right?
Right.
7, 7. 8, 8.
Those two are similar.
Right? 9, 9. 10, 10. So from 1 to 10, if you just see the numerals, how are we so close? It can't be trade. It is not trade. Science has proven that Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. Am I right? Science has proved it. Research has proved it. Which is the oldest documented language today is one.
Well,
One is the Chinese, Cantonese, you can say. Other one is Sanskrit. Research, you may not be aware of it.
I always think of Latin and Sanskrit as the
Alright.
oldest languages.
Latin is the mother of English.
And all Romance languages. So
Western languages.
Exactly. Yes.
Western languages.
Well, Sanskrit is the same thing for Eastern, right?
That is what skeptics have been thinking till date.
Okay.
Right? What our research has
Your
shown
personal
us,
research.
personal research, from these things, from numerals, from speech of word, and the meaning of those words, I have come to a conclusion that Sanskrit is actually the mother of all languages. It is the oldest documented language, according to me. Right?
Okay.
Now, in the Sanskrit language, if you see overall, there is not a single synonym for divorce.
I read that. Yeah.
Why is that? The reason is, in our culture, in Indian culture, basically of Indian subcontinent, the concept of divorce was absent. Absolutely not there.
It only came into existence, say, by 1955 Hindu Marriage Act.
No, I beg to differ.
Okay, I am not sure on that.
I'll explain to you how divorce came to India.
Go for it.
There is one officer called Mr. Paul Brooke,
Englishman.
Englishman of East India Company, Britishman. And when the British began to rule India, they thought of unifying a law system. See, they were pretty amazed themselves. So many languages, so many variations, yet the same culture. A culture which allows sugar to mix in the milk. You get my point?
Allows everything to come together.
Yes. All different things can bind together. How can a culture be so beautiful? How can it be so
Promote
absorptive?
diversity.
How can we absorb all the other things, all good things? It's because the culture, the Ved, the Purans, they taught us long back that whatever is good, assimilate it. Understand, research and assimilate whatever is good. Whatever is overall good for everyone. So when they realize that it will be very, very difficult for us to control all these people, all these languages and their sub-castes and their subsystems. See, earlier every caste and every community in India, they had their own set of rules for separations, for marriage-related disputes.
Okay, so
The
they were all
concept
settled like on a village level.
on village level, because cities were existing at that time.
Okay.
Bombay, Delhi, Madras, all these cities, they came later on, much later on. Earlier, India was a group of small villages of states. They were all governed independently by their independent kings.
Right.
There wasn't a single ruler.
The princely states.
They were all princely states. And the marvelous fact of all this thing is, despite all these deviations, the underlying civilization which taught them the way of life was the Hindu way of life. Even the word Hindu, it derived much later on by Persians who called the Sindhu river as Hindu. There is the Sindhu river which passes through present
That
Pakistan.
is that Indus Valley.
The Indus.
Indus Valley, Indus River.
Right.
That is how we got the name Hindu
From Indus.
from Indus, from
Indus.
Sindhu River.
Okay.
And the name Punjab, do you know how that Punjab means? Panj means patch,
Five.
Five.
Rivers. The union of 5 rivers.
and Ab means water.
Ah.
Ab means water.
Wait. So is Punjab this? Because Punjab's a mountainous region, right?
There
Yes,
So
Punjab
it's-
is in
it's-
Pakistan
five
also.
rivers.
There is a Punjab in India also.
Ravi, Satluj, then.
So all of those rivers
5
start
rivers.
with Punjab.
Yeah, that is what is the Punjab state.
Cool.
Alexander the Great came to the northern part of India. Right? That was his last destination.
Yeah, he
As-
didn't
at
do
least
it.
as per the movie that we have seen. Then in India he couldn't go far ahead. In India he has to collect back and return.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't conquer
couldn't
the entire
conquer.
of India.
Mhm.
It was impregnable.
Mhm.
Britishers came from down south through the sea,
Right. Through
And
Kerala,
through-
Tamil Nadu, etc.
through Goa and other
And
places.
Goa.
And when they entered India, they saw that there was huge diversity. So they decided to appoint an officer when they conquered few states to make a unified law which will cover the people staying in their princely states, their controlled states.
Mhm.
That was one Mr. Paul Brook, and this was, I am talking about some 1800s, 1850 something.
And you spell Brook.
Brook.
Okay.
Then, after he was given the job, he began to study the Indian culture. And probably, while his study was going on, he took the help of a few Indians who were thought to be scholars at that time.
Thought to be.
Thought to be. We never know, actually. See, who explains what is the Indian way of life? Nobody. It is the culture, it is the civilization which teaches us how to go ahead with the way of life. And he developed a unified code for all Hindus. Now Hindus have fantastic variety in them. There are Jains, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are all codified as Hindus. There are Sikh people who are all codified as Hindus right now.
Okay.
Regular Hindu people, subcastes in Hindu, they all had their own particular way of life. But what Mr. Brook did, he unified their law. What happened with this is, in India, where there was no divorce law, a divorce law came into existence.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So prior to that, the female had no other option. The man had no other option. Because at that time, when they married, they understood fully what is the serious consequence of marrying.
Right.
We have
And there
to
was
be-
no way that.
Yes, yes. When you know that there is no escape from this, you won't marry for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't marry for fun, the kids born out of such marriages are stable kids,
Kids, you said?
children.
Children.
The children who are born out of such marriages, where the husband and wife, the parents, are very serious about their relationship, grow up to become responsible citizens.
Or responsible, it's like what is happening, just to add to, he has spoken extensively on this subject beautifully, bringing the history. See, when we are talking about divorce, what happens is, we are only talking contemporary. Is divorce good or bad in today's time? What are the ill effects? But if we go back into the history, see, human civilization is just not this 21st century or the previous century. And when you talk about divorce, how much knowledge we have about divorce is this recent laws, maybe 100 years back, whatever has evolved. We are talking in terms of gender equality, and based on gender equality, all the laws have been created in terms of divorce. Whatever new acts are coming, it has to be gender equal. What happens is, the consequences of these laws, like an atom bomb, for example, what happens is, you have the atomic energy, you know the laws, you know the principles, Once this atom bomb explodes, it can have devastating effect on the planet, right? Now, these particular laws are also some kind of tools that is used. See, there are different tools when you are fighting in the war.
Are you comparing divorce to the atom bomb?
And I'm just giving an
See the
anagram.
correlation.
See,
Very carefully.
understand. What happens is, if there is a war, you might use a small gun, a pistol, or you might use earlier bow and arrow, you know. And then the human race started creating more and more advanced technology. So probably what has happened with the civilization, laws were existent. In case of dispute, there were laws. There were small laws. There were bow and arrow. There were pistols in terms of matrimonial dispute laws. This is the atomic age. What today we are having. The
Divorce law is like an atom bomb.
It's like
it destroys the family.
What happens
in an
is,
instant.
you go nuclear. Listen, when you go nuclear, of course, one is going to win, the other is going to lose. That is what is
In
the
divorce
theory.
trials.
In divorce trials, what happens is, the laws are made in such a manner that the women has to be compensated by the man. I think, I'm sure in US also it's like that. That she will go for her maintenance, she
Alimony.
will file for alimony.
Yeah. Well,
You are young, maybe you are aware or you are not aware. Suppose tomorrow you get married in US and your wife is not happy with you, and if she approaches the court, she is entitled to so many things, but are you also entitled to all those
Well, in the States, that depends on the children. If the wife has the children, and if the court decides to give her custody of the children,
Good
then
Very good point.
We'll come to that.
then the husband is, or former husband, whatever, is supposed to help pay for the children through alimony.
things?
That money is supposed to go towards the children through the wife.
Tell me,
Or-
if we are talking of gender equality, what entitles the woman to have the children?
That's a good. That's a good question. I guess what's going in my mind is biology.
How does it
I think
entitle
it's
a woman to have all the kids?
Is a man less emotional than women? Does the law says that? In any book in United States, is it written that women are more emotional?
Not at all,
than-
but like in every divorce case and in every custody battle, they they look at the incomes of both of them and the living situations and the history of both partners, and then the court decides based
What
off
about
of
the
those who
emotions?
is more fit.
Is there a meter or a device which can calculate which of the parent has better emotions or whose emotions get disturbed
Not
more?
really. I guess on the extreme level, you could just ask the child.
Can a
is-
child be a good judge of the emotions of the parents?
If the child says they'll be happy with one parent over the other,
What if the parent is a good actor and has emoted crying and other things before the child? Child is after
See,
all the
there is no
child.
barometer. See what happens is
well,
now-
yeah, you can't measure emotion. Emotion isn't. It's not logical, so you can't measure it.
Alright, exactly.
See,
Now the basic premise that I want to drive here, straight to the bullseye, is a child is the child of both the parents, right? Is the bloodline of both the families.